in life, who you decide to spend your time with matters more than what you decide you're going to
do. Welcome to the Family Office podcast, where we bring you exclusive insights from top investors, billionaires, and family offices shaping the future of private investing.
So my name is Richard C. Wilson. If you've never been to one of our events before, welcome. Thanks for being part of the community. We're really like a perpetual learning machine because at the masterminds, we go deeper on a few topics. And then at our investor summits, you hear from 75 to 100 plus speakers over 2-3 days. So really broad perspective. We'll have discussion panels from angel investors, discussion panels on real estate or $1 billion plus family offices or AI, etc. So you get a broad variety of perspectives. Here are some of the reasons why people are in the club: to source deals, to learn about new deal structures, to meet with peers, to figure out where the industry is going, to see what investors are preferring right now in the marketplace. If you're looking at 5 different ways to move forward, maybe after hearing 100 plus people speak on stage and talking to your partner, you might narrow that down to 3 or 4 instead of going after all 5 or just 1. So some questions I like to ask myself, is over the last 18 years, who are the people who are raising all the money? What do the people have in common who are raising $10 million a year? And what do the people have in common who are struggling to even raise $1 million a year? And they all have things in common, but it's very different from each other, right? So what are all these people doing that none of these people are doing? And pay attention to that. Also, what are all of the investors on stage saying? But nobody who's raising capital seems to listen or do what they're saying year after year after year after year. And I'm going to point out some examples of that where every investor wants you to do these things. Literally, nobody does them. And I don't know why, so we always emphasize it. So we're going to have a slide that says this is literally the 5 things almost every person messes up. I wanted to start out with some foundational content. These first 2 sections are really kind of setting the stage for the rest of the day. And then we're going to get into the 5 stages of raising capital. So this first one here is just about how people who are allocating capital, the more valuable they are, the busier they are. Usually they have 100 plus LLCs or K1s. They might have 1,000 plus employees or hundreds of employees. And the person who is raising capital usually has exponentially more time on their hands than the person allocating the capital. And so the problem is that the person raising the capital might send an email, and if they don't hear back, that same afternoon call and say, hey, I haven't heard back on that email yet that I sent you this morning. But they haven't even opened their email yet since that morning. They've been on an airplane, or they've been in a board meeting, etc. Or they get hundreds and hundreds of emails and they don't know you yet. So just keeping that in mind. We've had it happen before, and if somebody follows up very, very aggressively and doesn't have a sense that someone else is busy, then it makes you not want to make an introduction for that person or engage because they just don't respect your time on some level. They just don't get it yet that you have lots of other things going on by the minute. Here are a couple of mistakes I always like to cover up front. One is sometimes people launch an investment fund and then they have a goal of raising this big amount of capital in 3 months and then realize it's much harder than they expected. Most people have found out the hard way that raising capital is harder than you thought it would be. And in the last 2 years, it's become harder than it was more than 2 years ago, just because of high interest rates and some investors having distributions cut down or losses within real estate deals that had floating rate or other valuation issues. A couple other mistakes are related to not investing time into your actual capital raising efforts. A lot of people are so focused on the real estate development or building the company, they don't really spend the time to meet with investors. They don't have a full-time head of investor relations, and they don't spend more than 2 hours a week maybe on focusing on it. But if you're managing an investment fund, you're not going to have a lot to manage if you don't focus on getting the money in to actually manage, right? It seems like very basic, but you need the goods to deliver and get the meat on the bun and do an amazing job and deliver. That is the most important thing. But just making sure you're spending enough time and dedication to actually get the capital raised is something we're going to talk about today. One thing that I've heard a lot of 100 million plus net worth families and billionaires say over the years running this club is that in life, who you decide to spend your time with matters more than what you decide you're going to do. So the spouse you choose matters more than the activities that you want to get done in your life with whoever you would marry. It's more important to marry the right person. And with business, it's more important to have the right partner and the right employees and be in the right room with the right investors then, oh, I have to have these 4 bullet points to say. If you're in the right room and you have the right employees, the right team members, the who will inform the what, and it will self-correct and auto-correct. And when I interviewed Tony Robbins for our platform, billionaires.com, one of the 3 things he said was most powerful to share is the power of proximity, and how he got a $400 million deal done just by being in the right room with the right people, and then everything just came together. And I think that is a really important point. A lot of times people focus on the what, like what should I do? What should I do next? But being in the right room and the right who is like a higher level, more powerful way to think about it. If you are a founder, raising capital, developing real estate, or you're an investor, would love for you to get involved in the Family Office Club. I've run this community for 18 years now. We've hosted 300 live events. We have 17 million social media group members and followers. We have the #1 YouTube channel on family offices. We have the #1 most popular podcast on family offices. You can learn more about us and our membership options at familyoffices.com. We have 30 in-person events planned in 2026 and another dozen events this year. Please go to familyoffices.com to learn more.